Imagine rooting on a football team that has a loss. Wouldn't be me, wouldn't be us. The Philadelphia Eagles still undefeated after thumping the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's another Victory Monday. Let's celebrate together by hitting that thumbs up icon and liking the video. And let's dive into today's show where we look at all of the latest Eagles news and trade rumors before tomorrow's trade deadline. What's up and welcome in. You're watching Philadelphia Eagles Now by Chat Sports. Chase Senior here with you. Here's what we're discussing on today's show. Jalen Hurts cooking off to a historic start this season, continues to really impress everybody. And his wide receiver mate, A.J. Brown, also putting up just overall stupid numbers against Pittsburgh, but also throughout this year. And there is some loaded Eagles trade buzz leading up to the NFL trade deadline. And we'll tell you in a few moments how you can get yourselves a free Philadelphia Eagles jersey. Let's begin with Jalen Hurts. He was once again putting on a masterclass against the Pittsburgh Steelers, and his growth as a passer continues. 19 of 28 against the Keystone State rival, 285 yards, a career-high 4 touchdowns to 0 interceptions, and a near-perfect and flawless quarterback rating of 140.6. And Jalen Hurts continues to be Himothy, and it continues to be Hurts season in the city of brotherly love, and a big reason why he's been able to play so well and keep his name in the MVP conversation. He's not turning the football over, playing a clean brand of football. And these numbers here at the bottom of your screen really are just fascinating, right? 212 total passes this year for Jalen Hurts, 79 runs. So obviously he's been a huge component of this offense through the air and on the ground game. But despite him having all of that production and a very high usage rate, to use a basketball term, 2 turnovers in 7 games played. And he's really developed this year and turned himself into one of the best decision makers among all quarterbacks in the NFL. And the fact that Philadelphia this year is plus 14 in turnover differential goes a long way, and why this team is still undefeated on the final day of October, with November coming up tomorrow. Hurts also the second highest graded passer in the NFC. Take a moment to guess who's number 1. It'll shock you. Geno Smith of the Seattle Seahawks. So Jalen Hurts up to this point, second highest graded passer in the NFL, and the growth that we've seen taking place from 2020 to 2021 and 2022 really has been reminiscent of Josh Allen. That is not a hyperbolic statement, folks. You look at the numbers here and how everything has really increased in his progression as a starting quarterback in this league. Year 1 under Doug Peterson, he completes less than 52% of his passes. A couple years later here in 2022, he's improved that mark to 67%. Yards per game also up dramatically, even from last year when this was a run-heavy team, and now they have this dominant aerial attack. And his passer rating, also notable here, 77.2 as a rookie, goes up to 87.2 last year, and this year it is 105.1 through 7 starts. Give credit where credit is due. This is a byproduct of Jalen Hurts putting in a lot of work. This is also a byproduct of the Eagles having a near-flawless system led by Nick Sirianni, Shane Steichen, but also an unheralded guy, the quarterback's coach in Brian Johnson. I think Steichen is going to get some head coaching interviews after this year. I think Brian Johnson could get some offensive coordinator interviews this year to maybe be a play caller either with Philadelphia if Shane Steichen leaves, or with another team out there. And down the road, I think Brian Johnson could be a legitimate head coach in this league. And this all comes down to the great foundation that Nick Sirianni has put together that helps maximize the players on this roster, and it's put Jalen Hurts in a position to succeed. He was able to adjust last year, understanding the personnel and diving into the strengths of Jalen Hurts, right? He realized that throwing the football was not advantageous for this football team, so they lean on the best offensive line in football. They start that ground and pound attack, and they turn their season around. And this year, they surrounded him with weapons. That's a credit to Howie Roseman. They put together a good coaching staff and a good roster, and that's why the Eagles are still perfect. As for Jalen Hurts and just the overall culture builder that he is, when you think about it from the macro perspective, you go back to Alabama. when he helped lead them to some national title games, at Oklahoma when he was competing for the Heisman Trophy under Lincoln Riley. Jalen Hurts is just a winner. He has the intangibles. He has that swagger. He has that silent confidence and the demeanor of when things are going great, flatliner. When things are going poorly, flatliner. He always has belief in himself that he can turn it around and doesn't get too caught up in the moment. And I think having that type of temperament is really important to have as a quarterback, and that's what the greats have. When Tom Brady throws for 350 and 4 touchdowns, you see him on the sideline. He's not celebrating. He's not smiling. He's looking at the iPad to see what he can do to adjust within that football game to be better and improve. And Jalen Hurts, him as a winner, 10-0 in his last 10 regular season starts. And for everybody out there who is saying, the Philadelphia Eagles are a fraudulent team, yeah, they're 7-0, but they haven't played any quality opponents, well, hold on. Are we talking about the NFC East being very competitive? Are we talking about the NFC being a pretty solid conference with some solid squads? And if not, still, the Eagles are taking advantage of who's on their schedule. Are you going to tell me that the 6-1 Minnesota Vikings are a garbage football team? Or are you going to tell me that the Dallas Cowboys are a trash team at 6-2? F Dallas, of course. But the Eagles have taken down a couple of the best teams in the NFC, and it's not just by stacking wins. It's how they're winning these football games in a dominant way where really a lot of these games are not close at all. To show Jalen Hurts some love, he's Himothy. It's Hurts season. It's on and popping. Type him down in the comment section below because what Jalen Hurts is doing this year really has been magical. To his number one weapon in A.J. Brown. What a day for Brown at Lincoln Financial Field. You had Jalen Hurts throwing for a career-high 4 touchdowns. You had A.J. Brown setting a record for the most touchdowns in a single game for him and the most receiving yards in a game for him in his career. Just want to give a shout-out to the Tennessee Titans. I love partying in Nashville. Been there a couple of times. That's where my pops lives now. Broadway's a great spot. Thank you so much to the Tennessee Titans for gifting the Philadelphia Eagles A.J. Brown and for Howie Roseman pulling off another highway robbery. What a pickup A.J. Brown has been. He is the first Eagle since Kevin Curtis 15 years ago to have 3 touchdowns and at least 150 receiving yards, and it doesn't stop there. Going back to Terrell Owens in 2005, A.J. Brown also the first Eagle to have at least 650 yards and 5 touchdowns since T.O. did it in 2005. And that's why I've continued to say, and I stand firm on this, A.J. Brown is the best Philadelphia Eagles wide receiver going all the way back to Terrell Owens. This organization has not had a playmaker like this at that wide receiver position who can catch the 50-50 balls, who can stop on a dime, turn on the jets, and pull away from defenders, excelling with some terrific speed, but also just be that physical menace at the wide receiver spot where he can go up in double coverage and pull down a couple of those dimes like he did from Jalen Hurts yesterday and then point out, yes, you are my son. Yes, you are my son. We're scoring tutties, and it's a party in South Philadelphia. Hurts and Brown, besties off the field as their relationship very well talked about, them being best friends, and it is translated to a terrific marriage on the football field in between the lines because their 1-2 punch has been terrific and a big reason why the Eagles have one of the most explosive offenses in the National Football League. Make sure you subscribe to the channel for more coverage like this. Sub for Eagles dubs. Let's continue to rack up the subscribers. Let's continue to stack wins for the Birds. EAGLES. Subscribe for daily videos of your Philadelphia Eagles as this magical run continues here in 2022. Trade deadline coming up tomorrow. Of course, if anything happens, we'll have you covered. Lock us in by hitting that red subscribe button down below. Coming up next on the show, do you want a free Philadelphia Eagles jersey? That's right, a free Philadelphia Eagles jersey. We'll tell you how. And then loaded Eagles trade rumors. We're talking Kareem Hunt, Alvin Kamara, as well as Chuck Clark. First, though, back to that free jersey. You want one? You want to be swagged up, swagged out with some fresh Eagles gear with the current player on this roster? Here's how you do it. Sign up with our sportsbook partner, BetUS. If you're not a fraud, you'll do it. Chatsports.com/EaglesBet. Promo code EAGLES125. If you sign up and deposit $100 or more, you already get $125 back. That's $225 to game with. You make your first bet, and then you email us that you followed all those steps, jersey@chatsports.com. One more time, you sign up with our sportsbook partner, BetUS. The link is down below. The promo code is Eagles125. You get $125 back when you put in $100, and you're getting a free Philadelphia Eagles jersey if you make your first bet and then you email us that you followed all those steps. We'll get you hooked up because those midnight green jerseys, man, they're the freshest in the National Football League. Okay, to the latest Eagles trade rumors now. It is trade deadline eve. Yes, it's also Halloween, but the NFL trade deadline is set for tomorrow. Does Howie Roseman have another big move up his sleeve? According to NFL insider Ralph Vacciano, he believes that Howie Roseman is not done yet. He said this on Twitter here on Halloween morning. I think Eagles general manager Howie Roseman is not done. I've heard the same as others. Keep an eye on them for running back Kareem Hunt. They tried to get Christian McCaffrey, who went off for the Niners against the Los Angeles Rams, by the way. Hunt might only cost a fourth-round pick, and he'd be huge as a wide receiver coming out of the Eagles' backfield, making them hard to stop. And I agree. I still want to see Miles Sanders as the lead back. That's what he is. Kareem Hunt is also number 2 back behind Nick Chubb. So it's not unfamiliar territory with him. And Miles Sanders, I thought yesterday, after a silent first half in which the Eagles just didn't flat out run the football at all, really turned it on in that second half. That touchdown run was spectacular. So Kareem Hunt as a backup back and as a guy who can catch passes out of the backfield, but also he could be on the field at the same time as Miles Sanders as a slot wide receiver or a little split back action, split eye, little pistol. The variety that you could involve Kareem Hunt within this offense does intrigue me a lot. As for another running back, Alvin Kamara, whose price tag is going to be a lot steeper as compared to Kareem Hunt. That's why I'd probably lean toward going after Kareem Hunt, because Kamara, if the asking price really is a first-round pick, that's ludicrous. An NFL general manager saying that the Saints would consider trading Kamara to the Eagles, but the price tag, if this is true, is just wild, and I wouldn't do it. Here it is from Albert Breer. There have been conflicting reports on Alvin Kamara, but one general manager told me he thought the Saints would consider moving him to the Eagles if Philadelphia gives them back that first rounder that they traded in April. The Saints are in an interesting spot with a very talented roster and a record that doesn't reflect it. And so, Mickey Loomis has received calls. Whether he'd be willing to really listen on Kamara or Michael Thomas remains to be seen, but there are some second-tier types such as Nick Vannett and Marquez Callaway, who could also be moved. LOL at that. A first-round pick for a running back is insanity. I think Christian McCaffrey, slightly the better running back as compared to Kamara, and he didn't go for a first-round pick. Instead, he went for multiple picks for the San Francisco 49ers. That is really, to me, just general manager agent talk, right? Trying to up the value of Kamara because he is not worth a first-round pick, even if he goes off against the Las Vegas Raiders like he did yesterday and continues that trend from here on out until the end of the regular season. 3 total touchdowns yesterday. He hadn't gotten on the board with the touchdown up until yesterday's game against Las Vegas in a blowout loss as they blanked the Raiders. 158 total yards, 18 carries, and 9 receptions. This guy, very reminiscent of Christian McCaffrey, a very similar playmaker. That's why I'm not giving up a first-round pick, because the Niners didn't have to do it for a player who might be better or at least the same as Kamara. So pick a running back between the two that we just talked about. Kareem Hunt, KH. AK, Alvin Kamara. Kamara is the better player. Kareem Hunt going for cheaper. That's why I'm going with Kareem Hunt. He's also set to be a free agent and isn't making nearly as much money as AK down in the Big Easy. Let's round out with this. Could some safety help be on the way in the form of Chuck Clark? CBS Sports naming Chuck Clark of the Baltimore Ravens a potential Eagles trade candidate. This is a player who we've talked a lot about here on the show, and a big reason why he could be on the trade block is because the Saints have Marcus Williams, and they drafted Kyle Hamilton out of Notre Dame in the first round. Here's what CBS Sports had to say about Chuck Clark. The Eagles already added C.J. Gardner-Johnson and Marcus Epps, a quality complement on the back end. Where Gardner-Johnson is a ball hawk, however, the Philly native Clark, he is, by the way, shout out to Philly, could offer hard-hitting and blitzing ability as a third safety for the stretch run, signed through 2023. He's no longer an asset in Baltimore with Marcus Williams and Kyle Hamilton in town, and that's why he could be expendable. That's why he could be on the trade block. Bring the guy home. You already have Kaiser White, who's a Philly guy. You have Hassan Reddick, who's a New Jersey Philly guy. Let's get another Philly guy in the city of brotherly love to make a run at another Lombardi trophy and bring back that second Super Bowl trophy back to where it belongs in Philadelphia. Another reminder to subscribe to the channel. Sub for Eagles dubs. Whatever happens at the deadline, moves or not, we have you covered because this is what we do. This is the standard for the best Eagles conversations on YouTube and the best Eagles YouTube channel out there. So hit that subscribe button down below. Lock us in. Year-round coverage of the Birds. EAGLES. We out.